And one of the big things I talk about a lot, because it bled into recent history, so a little bit easier to write about, was how I was such a clean eater. I was that person that wore that term with a badge of honor. And I would turn down treats or whatever. And I talk a little bit in the book about this example of when I was a school counselor. My school office, we would celebrate each other's birthdays, and we would take turns bringing in treats for somebody's birthday, and we'd all gather in the little office kitchen and, have whatever and wish the person happy birthday. And I never partook in that ever. Well, I shouldn't say ever. I probably did maybe once or twice, but hardly ever. I would go and participate, wish happy birthday, but I would never eat the cupcake. I would never eat the piece of cake or whatever, because I was a clean eater, and that was going to destroy everything, I thought in my head.
Right.
I was that person, right? And the interesting part about that, and I touch on this a lot in the book, is how people kept telling me how they thought I was disciplined and how strong I was because I did that, right? And that fueled the fire. That was almost my validation that what I
Sure.
was doing was correct, right? Because everyone was like, "Oh my God, how do you do this, Susan? That's incredible." And here I was standing there, the only person in the room not having a piece of cake or whatever, and thinking to myself, I really want a piece of cake. I really wanted that piece of cake. I want to be like you, and be able to have that piece of cake and laugh and enjoy it and blah, blah, blah. But yet they're praising me for, I mean, it was weird. But stuff like that, I think, is really common. People try to eat clean. They think that that is the right thing to do. And I honestly believe that people in my generation, we were brought up a couple of things that were either black or white. And one is food, it was good or bad food. We were brought up that way. Like cake was bad, quote bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're brought up that way, that's a tough one to let go of, and I think that takes practice, that takes some trust and some time, but you can eventually work through that. And the same thing like with the scale. We were brought up to think if the scale goes up, that's bad. If it goes down, that's good. And that was it. There was no talk of fluctuations or why the scale may randomly have popped up or why it may all of a sudden whoosh down a couple pounds. Knew nothing about that. Zero. And so you're thinking, oh my God, I went out for dinner last night. The scale's up today. I gained 2 pounds. Oh my God, I need to reduce my calories. So that whole cycle
Yeah.
gets perpetuated. I
Yeah.
talk a lot about that kind of thing in the book too.
That's really good. Yeah. I think a lot of us that are trying to help people are trying to preach like specifically what you just mentioned, that healthy versus unhealthy foods, and like, oh, this has protein, so it's healthy,
Yeah.
or this is high fat, so it's unhealthy, or like this is, like you said, a piece of cake or a cookie or a dessert is unhealthy. But in reality, having some type of structure that allows you to be able to include those types of foods, that's actually probably closer to what healthy would be, or at least how I would describe it.
100%. It being able to have foods you love and be able to make the progress you want and learn to include everything, that's healthy.
Mhm.
Exactly right. That's what healthy is. And that's not what I thought it was, back then.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really common. I mean, I'm sure with the people you work with, the people that I work with, we see this, right? They still struggle with allowing themselves to enjoy some things in moderation, right? Because it's going to ruin all their progress, and that is, it's a tough one. It's a mindset thing that we have to continuously work on. And it's like the scale. I was telling somebody the other day that, like the scale spiked for me 2 days ago. Do I like it? No, of course I don't like it. I'll never like it. But the difference now is I don't let the emotion of not liking it dictate what I do next. Like I have to reduce my calories. I have to do this. I just don't allow that to happen anymore. I still don't like it. And I still get the little mini kick in the gut every time you see it go up. That part's okay. I think because we're human beings, right? We have to feel. We are going to feel. But where it's not okay is where we allow that emotion to now determine what we do next. And that's where we all get into trouble.